day. Good to see you all again. I hope you've been working on perfecting that resume a little bit since I saw you last time. You got such a today because you're upgraded. You get Miss Melissa Whitesell, our librarian from the Dalton State College Roberts Library. And I'm going to let her speak first. And what she's going to talk to you about is researching the company you're going to do your mock interview with for credit for this class, but also how to find information on a company you ultimately, hopefully, are going to work with, work for, that's going to give you the job later on. When you go in with questions and you say, when is the vacation? What's my rate of pay? How many days will I get off? They're going to throw you and the resume in the garbage and out the door, right? You've got to have some smart questions. Goodness, I read the Wall Street Journal. There's a tariff on Harley Davidson. How has that affected your business? What do you see for the future, right? I know your demographics have shifted. What did you tell me in the elevator that you're trying to attract younger people? Yes. I'm a millennial. I'd be so happy to work with you and help you attract a younger demographic to buy Harleys, right? So if you know those things from having done your homework, they're going to be so impressed. They're going to give you the job offer. And one of the things that we found with this mock interview, we're sending you out to get a little more confidence, to get a little more practice. But sometimes if you've done your homework, they love you instantly and they'll make a job offer on the spot at the mock interview. That is not unheard of. We have had that happen. So we want you to be as prepared as you can with intelligent questions. So you'll take your portfolio in and you'll have a couple of these questions jotted down. And remember, it's all about what you can do for them. You'll have time to talk to HR later about the benefits, the pay, and all those curious questions you've got, but the interview's not the time to ask those. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Whitesell to help us get prepared for this, and welcome.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, and as Dr. Helms mentioned, my name is Melissa Whitesell, and I'm the library director at the Roberts Library on the other side of campus. And I've worked with the School of Business for several years. I first was a reference and instructional librarian and helped many of the students just like you with assignments like this, and have also worked with seniors in the capstone projects and so forth. So I have a lot of experience and can help you with some of the resources that will, as Dr. Helms kind of give you an edge as you go in for interviews, also prepare you for some of the other classes. And one of the things that we have as a service through our libraries is not only can we help you and assist you right now with this class, this particular assignment, or maybe as you go for those mock interviews, but we also can provide some assistance and support to you as alumni once you graduate. This past week, a week ago, we had a student come in and she had graduated recently, was working for one of the local companies, and they were trying to do some research about their competitors, see who were their top competitors in a particular niche of their industry. And so I was able to help her and direct her to some information. So we're here to help you even after you graduate. You can always contact us. And as she's passing around the handouts to you, you'll notice at the very top that there is some contact information. So you can call the library. You've got the number there that you can use. You can text a question to us. Maybe you're busy. Like most of us, you're probably taking classes as well as working at the same time. So you may not have the opportunity to directly call and speak with someone. You can text a question to us. You also have my email. Direct your questions to me. I answer questions till about 10:30 at night. And then I'll get back to you the next morning if I'm not able to. If you're working later than that, I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can the next day in a response. And if I'm not able to find something, I'm going to look until I can get an answer for you. So just to know that we're here to support you while you're here as a student and then afterwards as well. So today what I'd like to do is just to show you some of the things that you can do, just to give you some tips and pointers as you're researching a company, trying to find out a little bit more about them. If I said to you, I'm going to send you out on a mock interview to XYZ company or business, where is the first place you would probably go to start to find information about that particular company or organization? Any ideas?
The organization's website.
Okay, great. She mentioned the organization's website, and that's the first thing that I would do. If you're not familiar with them, if you're just trying to find out a little bit, maybe you've just moved into an area or you're considering moving to another area, you may not know a lot about that company to begin with. What are their products and services? Where do they operate? And so on. So the best thing to do is to go to their website. So I'm going to give you a couple tips as you're looking at a company's website, And I'm going to show you, the first one is called Vertex Pharmaceuticals. This is a company that's being used. Is anybody in this strategic management class this semester? Okay, a couple faces look familiar, that's right. So you may have been assigned, or someone else in your class may be assigned to this particular company. One of the things I tell students is when you look at an official website for a business company or so on, they're marketing to their customers. And so at the very top, you're not necessarily going to find the information that you need. Generally, you're going to have to scroll down to the very bottom of their website and look for some real tiny fine print at the bottom of the page. Now, some of you might be a little bit more lucky than others, and you may have it in big, bold graphics or buttons or tabs at the top of your page. But usually, you're going to have to go to the very bottom of their website to look for that. So you may go all the way down. And usually back at the bottom of the page, you will see things like working here. So again, if I want to know what is their corporate culture like, how much do they pay their employees, are there particular benefits that they offer, then that's someplace that I'm going to go to right away. I'm going to take a look at that as I'm looking through their site. I've got that. Help us achieve our mission. What's it like? See available positions that are there. Getting to know us. So here's our benefits, our reward system. How can I develop as an employee in this, and what's our diversion and inclusion policies? So all of that is there. Now, another thing that you may want to do is, you may not find exactly this, but another thing that you can look for, and at the top of your handout it tells you, I'm looking for this type of information, go here. And one of the tips that it mentions is you may also look for links that will say about us, our history, our company, those types of things. That's kind of common sense. You're going to look for those and see if you can find those links on their page. So here's We Are Vertex. So they have a link over here on the side on their page. And now I can find out a little bit more, because I want to know who's the leadership, what's the structure of that company, who might I report to if I apply for this particular position, will I be traveling a great deal, and that sort of thing. So I'll find those things, collaboration, innovation, programs, stories, and updates. That may be another good one, because that usually is where their employees are going to talk about working in the company. Now, of course, they're going to put the best face forward on their website. But it will at least give you some information about them. Now, I'll show you another one just to give you, here's Shaw Industries. We all have heard of Shaw Flooring. Many of you may have worked or have family members who are working for Shaw or Mohawk here within this area. So you can see the Shaw website at the top very clearly and very prominently has information about their company profile. So it tells you their brands, their people, so you can meet some of the people within the company, see some of those different positions, the history of that company. And that's another thing that will impress an employer, is if you actually know, how did this company come about, who have they merged with, and how that's impacted their business and their business model. And then, of course, there's the section on careers. So you'll find all that on their company website. The other thing that you might do then is, once you've looked at this, is you might go out and do another kind of general search. And a website that I recommend, it's actually a news site, is Reuters. If you've ever heard a news story, sometimes they'll either say this was a Reuters news story, or this was an AP Press news story. Two major news agencies, and they happen to cover business and financial aspects as well. So you can go in and just do a search for Reuters Business. And when you do, up in the top corner, you're going to see this little icon. It looks like a search or magnifying glass. So you can click on that icon and then search for your particular company. So I'm going to go ahead and enter Vertex. Vertex Pharmaceuticals. And when I do, it brings up this listing here. You'll see there's several news stories, but right under the very top it has search results, and it has news, companies, and so on, and there's a link to my company. So I can go ahead then and click on that link. And now I have some of the same information as I had on their company website, but here's the difference. Again, when you go to a company's website, they're promoting it to their investors, to their customers, and they're promoting their services and so on. Of course, they're going to have a little bit of bias, and they're going to present it in the best possible light. A news source like this is going to give you more information about that company, but it's going to present it in a way that's not quite so skewed in their favor. So you're going to get a little bit better perspective of that company. Again, finding some of the same types of information, you'll have these tabs that will say news. So you can see any news articles that have come out about that company. Has there been a change in the company structure? Are there tariffs? We were talking about Harley-Davidson and some of the tariffs and the way that's impacted. Has that had an impact on your particular company? Key developments, your people's financials, and so on are all listed there. So you can see how well is that company performing by looking at their financials, and you can see their earnings, and those may be some questions you ask them. So you have all this. Under the overview, the other thing that I'll mention to you is, again, when we're talking about a particular company, not only do you want to know about that company, but you also need to know a little bit about who their competitors are, because your goal as an employee is to give them an edge over their competitors. How do you do that? There's lots of different ways you can do that, but one of them is just to be aware of what's going on with their company, with their competitors. What types of new technologies are they implementing? Have they changed maybe workflows and logistics and so on that may improve the way they're operating? And so this, on the right-hand side, if you go to that overview tab and you'll look down, you will see a listing of their top competitors, and it links you directly to those competitors. So they consider Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer's, Novartis, all to be their top competitors. So you could go and just simply click on that and find out more about those competitors as well. So again, it gives you an intelligent question to go in. So I see that Pfizer's doing such and such. How are you going to address this, or will you implement that type of technology? Have you have any research and development that would provide this type of product or pharmaceutical? So those are two things to get started. Once you've done that, then what you want to do is go a little bit deeper. And so that's where you've got these general sites that you can go to online, but then what you want to do is dig a little bit deeper and look for company analysis. And a lot of times if you Google search a company, you'll find some really in-depth reports that are available, but they may cost you anywhere between $400, and we've seen some that have been up to $4,000 for one single report. The great thing is through the library, you have access to databases that will provide you these types of reports free of charge. And as students here at Dalton State and alumni at Dalton State, as long as you're living within the state of Georgia, you would still have access to these after you graduated. So what you can do is contact us and say, hey, I need such and such report on this company or this industry, and we can send that report to you. Or you can come into the library and print off as many of those reports or email or save them, whatever you want to do as you would like, saving your company hundreds of dollars, hundreds and thousands of dollars doing that. So I want to show you a couple, and in your handout, if you go to the very first page at the bottom of the page here, it mentions the first one is Business Source. And so at the top, or just below that, it gives you a kind of a string that shows you how you would get to this particular resource. So if we go to the library's webpage, and if you hover over it, or if you double click, you'll see a link for Galileo. We'll click on Galileo, and in just a moment it loads up the page. You'll see Databases A to Z tab. You'll click there, and then you can just click the letter B, or you can type in the name of the database. So I'm just going to click B and scroll down to the bottom here to Business Source Complete, and I want to use the business search interface. So I'm going to click on that, and over here on the right hand side you'll see some features. So I can do company information or company profiles, and I can find different types of information about a company. If I go to a company profile, it's going to give me a pretty in-depth report, and essentially if I'm just going for an interview, this is probably where I'm going to go. I'm just going to click here, look at the company profile, find information like the SWOT analysis, who are the key individuals within that company, their financials and so on. All of it's right here. So I'm going to click there, use my company profile. Again, I'm going to do Vertex Pharmaceuticals. And you'll see it gives you the name of the company, it tells you where it's headquartered, because occasionally, depending on what company you're searching for, you may have more than one location. So you're always wanting to look for the headquarter or the particular location of interest to you. So we're looking for Vertex Pharmaceuticals in the United States. I'll click on the link. And now I have, over here on the left-hand side, it's a market line report. And I can click on that link and it brings up full text, this in-depth report for me. Down here it tells me my publication date, so I can look to be sure that I find the most recent report. Some of these, it depends on when the company files their annual report as to when they're updated. So look for the most recent, usually it's something that's published within the last year to 6 months. So I have it. I've got their major products and services, which again, I could find on some of those others, but I could not find a SWOT analysis. I wouldn't find that just by going to some of their websites, and I certainly wouldn't find it on their official site. So I can click on that right there, and it tells me here's some of the strengths of this company. So I've got some bullet points there. So if I just want some talking points in an interview, I can just use that. But if I really want to impress them with what I know about this company, I can go on down through this report, reading it, to find out.
Can we save this report?
Absolutely. So over here you have the option you can print. On your right hand side you've got some options. You can print this. You could email it to someone else. So for those classes where you're working as a team, you may want to email to your team member so they would have it as well. You can do that, or maybe you've got a family member or a friend that's interested in this company. You can send on to them. Right below that is it looks like a file folder. So that will let you save it. You can do it there. Below that is an option, again, for those classes where you maybe have to turn in a paper or a presentation or something that way. It lets you cite it and tells where you found this information. So you
can get to this from home.
You can get to this from home. As long as you go to the library's webpage, click on Galileo, it's going to ask you to log into with your My Dalton State username and password. So you can access this from home. You can access anywhere you have an internet connection. You can go ahead and you can get to this. Okay? Any questions about this particular? All right. I'll show you one other thing just as a piece of information. If I'm looking for a particular company, I can do company profile. One of the things, if I looked at Shaw Industries, and I looked for that particular company, it has Shaw Industries Incorporated and so forth, Shaw Industries Group, and that's what I'm looking for. And it says Dalton, Georgia. I can click there, but what I really need to know is that Shaw Industries is actually a subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway. Now, some of us who live in this area may know that. If you don't, you may not know, is this a subsidiary, who's the ultimate parent company, and so on. And you may want to know more about that parent company. So what this does is at the top it has the global ultimate parent in that right-hand corner. And so you can click there and you can find out, again, more about that company. All right? So I'm going to click out of that. I'm going to go back to the main screen for Galileo. So we were into Galileo, databases A to Z, and on the second page of your handout there's another resource that I'll show you. And this one is called IBIS World. So not only do we want to know about the company itself and their products and services, but we also may need to know about the industry in which it operates. So what are some factors that way? So there's a database that we use, is again, Galileo, databases A to Z. Click on the letter I, and you'll see here it's IBIS World. So where Business Source will tell you more about the company itself, and it may give you some industry. This one goes in detail within the industry itself. So at the top you have in this box here that says start your search here, and you'll see browse report listings, and you have two options right there on the left hand side. The first one I'll show you is just an industry report. So if I click there, or I enter my search box and enter a company name there, then what I can do either way, and I'm just going to go ahead and put, and when I do Shaw Industries Group, you'll notice it pops up several different potential industries that I might be wanting to research. So if I were really wanting to research Shaw Industries here in Dalton, which one of these would you go to first? Can you see it okay to be able to say? Any thoughts on that? I would probably, if it was me, I would go ahead and start with carpet mills in the U.S. Essentially, that's their primary business or industry. So I'm going to go to that. It brings up the report for me. And now across the top, I've got all these different tabs that I can use. The first page, the overview, just tells you a little bit about the industry. So what do I need to know about the supply chain? Who are supply industries? Who do they supply to? Who are some related industries? What are the types of activities that they're involved in within that industries? And maybe some jargon that I might want to know as I'm talking with someone in an interview. Then across the top, it gets into much greater detail, the performance, the outlook for that industry. Do I really want to apply for this job if it's a mature industry and won't be around much longer? New technologies are causing this to be outdated or so on. So I can take a look at that, and I can see what the outlook is for that.
Help us use this to formulate a good question to ask.
Absolutely. So I know my industry now, carpet mills in the United States. So if I go back to the main page for IBIS World, then what I can do is here it has these U.S. industry iExpert summaries. So those industry reports are really, really detailed, but the summaries kind of just give you an overview. So carpet mills in the U.S., I know that's my industry. So I'll type that in here. And now it gives me an iExpert report. I click on my link. And up at the top, again, it gives me the summary. But as I scroll on down at the very bottom of the page, and this is one of the best features, is here it has call preparation questions. And now what it does is it gives me some questions that I can ask about this particular industry or this particular company. And it takes it even farther than that, is it breaks it down by role. So what position am I applying for? Who am I interviewing with? And it gives me some specific questions to ask that individual or about that particular position within that company or that industry. And so you have all those here that you can use. So there's internal, there's external, role specific, all these different types of questions that you can ask them. And again, just like Business World, you can go in and you can print off these, or you can save it as a PDF to a file or something that way.
So would you start here with these questions probably?
As long as I know what my industry is, or if I have an idea of the types of industries it might be in, I would go to this section here and look at the call preparation questions. Absolutely. Go to the website first, find some information just in general about the company. Another good thing to do is to look at their annual report and see what have they reported on, what have they been doing in the last year, where do they see themselves moving within the next 3 to 5 years. That's usually included in their annual report to their investors. So take a look at those, take a look at your call preparation here, and you should be very well prepared for your interviews, your mock interviews with those companies. Okay, so in the additional pages within your handout, there are some other things that you can look at if you want to find more information about salary ranges and things like that. There's Occupational Outlook Handbook, and some other sources that I list for you and give you step-by-step instructions on how to do that. So you can take a look through those. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. You have phone numbers, you have text number, you have email. you can always stop in and talk to any of the library staff, and we're happy to assist you. Okay? So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank Ms. White. But you can't start every sentence with I. So you've got to subordinate the clause and start I later in the sentence, and don't do so much bragging. Okay, so let's look at one. Okay. Can we see? Can I see? Can you see that pretty good, y'all? Okay, so let's look at Bailey's. Here's Bailey Jackson. And you've got your name nice and bold. We've got your address. So if I needed to Google you on Facebook or look you up and see what you've been up to, I think I might even make the phone number and the email even slightly bigger. We've got to figure out how to call you. Okay, typically when you're writing a letter, why does this Bailey look like a different font? January looks smaller than Robert's name. Okay, so is it, who gave me this resume? Bailey, is its font different, Bailey?
I don't think so.
Why does that look smaller? Okay, and typically when you write a letter, you put the date and then you have 4 spaces here before the name, and put his title, either a Miss MR or MS, okay, unless you know otherwise. All right, and what is COA? Chief Operating, what is this? Is that part of his title, part of the company name?
It's part of his title.
What is it?
He's an accountant, but I'm not quite sure what the...
Chartered something accountant. I think I'd put a comma, and I'd put that up there to save you a little line. This is his title, South Wall Street, Calhoun, Georgia. Dear Mr. Gilbert. Okay, that's not a comma. That's a colon. Remember how we write the letter, Dear Mr. Gilbert. And sometimes you might put a regarding line. And I like that in a cover letter, so you do 2 spaces, and then you put a little sentence right here regarding.
intern opening. That's just so whoever's and then 2 spaces after that before you start the letter. Okay? Because that gets you in the right pile. And it is very important that these resumes, they may go to one central email and they're printed out, or they're forwarded on in an email. So you can't get the position if it doesn't get to the right person. Make it easy to find and get to them. Okay, I'm writing this letter to express my interest in an intern position at Gilbert and Crump. Okay, so that's all clear from this letter. So let's start out. Your internship position at Gilbert and Crump Associates is a perfect fit for my education and work experience. Did somebody tell you about this job, baby? How'd you find out about it?
That's who my mom uses for her taxes.
Okay, well then you can, did you mention that on in here?
I don't think so.
Okay. If somebody told you to apply or told you about this internship, that's a very powerful next line. My accounting professor, Miss Connor at Dalton State, recommended I apply for this internship. There you go. You've name dropped. So put that as your second sentence if that happened. Okay. Associates, as the position highlights my attributes and skills. Again, it's what you can do for them, okay? I know you're skilled, and I know you have a lot of attributes. I just want you to get the internship, okay? I'm determined and focused. Oh, my hard work, strong leadership. Okay, we can't start all these sentences. Look at all the places we start with I. We're just killing them. So we probably want to do something like, as shown on the attached, remember the resume is a PDF, right? File, as shown on the attached resume, comma, so you're going to subordinate that I. Now you can start with I. I am a determined and focused student with a strong academic background. Prove it to me. How do I know you're strong? With a 3.9 GPA in my accounting classes? Right? Yeah, what the heck? Okay, instead of I am known for, here we could say, are you still seeing what I'm writing? Let's say, instead of I, how about something like, in addition to my hard work, strong leadership, and strong work ethic, comma, then we can run this sentence on, I have time management skills, period. All right, let's take out this multitasking. I really believe I'm the best in the world at multitasking, but here's the truth. Nobody's really good at it, are they, Tina?
No.
No, even me. See, so let's take that out. Okay, don't say I'm a senior. Say, let's see, we don't want to start with A again.